Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 11, verses 1 through 15. Now, the Ammonite king, Nahash, comes up against some Israelites in Jabesh Gilead. Now, Nahash, that word in the Hebrew means serpent or snake. So you literally have the snake king coming up against God's people, who are not all that great. They're broken people, but nevertheless, God's people. And he says, they know they're outnumbered. They know that they don't have the ability to withstand his forces, and say, well, let's make a treaty with you. And he said, that'll be fine. I just want you to gouge out one of your eyes, right? So that you can live in disgrace. Now, why is that important? Well, if you go back, the Ammonites have been disgraced going all the way back to Lot. And you'll have to read that story yourself. I don't have time for it. Anyway, so the elders asked Nahash, hey, give us 7 days. Let's see if anyone cares about what's going on. And Nahash he's overconfident for two reasons. One, he thinks his force is so big that no one's going to oppose him. And secondly, he doesn't think anyone will care what's happening to them. And so they send out messengers, and one of them reaches Saul, who's out plowing with the oxen in his field. Not a very kingly thing, but, he hasn't been king very long. And it says, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him powerfully. That it is the Spirit of the Lord that is grieved by this. And because the Spirit of the Lord is grieved, Saul is grieved. And we think about that passage in Romans that talks about how that if we're given the Spirit knows the mind and the heart of God, and it knows ours too, but it shares that with us. And so he burns with anger, or a righteous anger. He is incensed at the injustice. And he slices up his oxen, and he sends out pieces of the oxen. Yes, this sounds familiar, right? To all of Israel, saying, I'm going to do this all to your oxen if you don't show up and help fight these guys. Now, the last time that happened is when, the priest, the Levite, cut up his concubine. And it was a sign of shame to all of them. Here, this is a call to action. It's a bit different. And I think the big issue about this passage is about how easily we overlook the pain and suffering of others because it doesn't affect us. And Saul makes clear, you need to be concerned about this, or I'm going to make you concerned about it. And how often as Christians are we tempted to overlook the pain and suffering of others because we're comfortable? So they get all the men together, right? And the men they send word to the village, we're on our way, hold out. And so they say, hey, the next day we'll surrender. The next day, Saul separates his force into 3 divisions, and they just, and from during the last night of the watch, so early in the morning, they attack, they drive the Ammonites into panic, and it's a great victory. And after this victory, this great victory, there is the coronation tour down to Gilgad, and they renew the coronation that, yes, indeed, Saul has been called to serve the Lord. And there's some who say, well, what should we do about those guys who question you and say, that's not my victory. It's the Lord's victory. No Israelites to die this day, because we're worshiping the Lord. Thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.